How often do you worry about how others see you in today's world? It seems like everyone is focused on their image and reputation. But what if the key to peace lies in releasing the need to control others' perceptions of us? Hi, I'm from the Stoic Way channel, and in this video, we'll explore how to release the need to control how others see you. Whether it's the pressure of social media, workplace dynamics, or even family expectations, the desire to be seen in a certain way can cause a lot of anxiety. Stoicism teaches us that true peace comes from within and that we cannot control how others perceive us, but we can control how we choose to live and act. In a world where everyone is obsessed with curating their image, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking constant approval from others. Stoicism offers a powerful alternative, teaching us to focus on what's in our control, our actions, character, and integrity, rather than external approval. By releasing the need to control how others see us, we can find peace and freedom in simply being true to who we are. In this video, we'll break down Epictetus' wisdom. I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live. We'll discuss how Stoicism helps us detach from the constant need for external validation and focus on living in alignment with our values and character. Before we dive in, like, subscribe, and comment below. How often do you find yourself worried about others' opinions of you? What steps have you taken to release that anxiety? Let's dive in. Let's reflect on this profound quote from Epictetus. I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live. Epictetus. This quote cuts to the heart of a powerful Stoic teaching. We have control over our own actions, thoughts, and behavior, but we cannot control how others perceive us. In today's world, we often find ourselves obsessing over how we are seen by others, whether it's at work, on social media, or in our personal relationships. But Epictetus reminds us that true peace and freedom come from detaching from the desire to control external opinions. When we focus on living in alignment with our values, rather than trying to curate our image for others, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with constantly seeking approval. The Stoic path teaches us that our worth isn't dependent on others' views but on how we live and act with integrity, kindness, and wisdom. This teaching allows us to let go of the pressure to control how others see us and instead focus on controlling our actions and how we respond to the world around us. We've just explored Epictetus' quote, I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live. This teaching reminds us that our peace of mind is not dependent on the opinions of others, but rather on how we choose to live and act according to our own values. Let's break this down and discuss how this Stoic principle can help us release the anxiety of seeking approval from others. In a world where image and reputation are often everything, it's easy to get caught up in the desire to be seen in a certain way. We often worry about how others perceive us, whether it's our appearance, our work, or our actions. But Epictetus teaches us that we don't have control over other people's thoughts and judgments, and trying to control this only leads to anxiety and frustration. Instead of focusing on how we are seen by others, Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control, how we live, what values we uphold, and the actions we take. When we release the need for external validation, we find peace in living authentically and true to ourselves, regardless of how others view us. Think about a time when you found yourself overly concerned with how others saw you. Perhaps it was at work, in a relationship, or on social media. How did this focus on external validation affect your emotional state? Did it create unnecessary stress or self-doubt? In those moments, Stoicism offers a powerful reminder that our worth is not dependent on others' perceptions. When we stop seeking approval from the outside world, we can find true peace by focusing on our inner values and living in alignment with them. This teaching is rooted in the Stoic concept of internal versus external validation. The Stoics believed that true happiness and peace come from within, not from others' approval. By focusing on living according to our own values, virtue, integrity, and wisdom, we stop measuring our worth by how others see us. Another important Stoic idea related to this is the dichotomy of control. We can control our actions and responses, but we can't control what others think or say about us. By focusing only on what we can control, we free ourselves from the constant anxiety of trying to mold ourselves to meet others' expectations. How can you apply this Stoic principle in your own life? The next time you feel the urge to seek approval from others, ask yourself, what is in my control? How can I live in alignment with my values, regardless of what others think, by shifting your focus from seeking external validation to living authentically? You can release anxiety and find true peace. For example, if you're facing criticism at work or feel like your efforts go unnoticed, instead of focusing on how others perceive you, ask yourself, did I do my best? Am I proud of the work I've done? Regardless of others' opinions, this will help you shift your attention from external feedback to internal fulfillment. I remember a time when I felt I had to constantly prove myself to others. I wanted everyone's approval, whether it was from my colleagues or friends. But when I started practicing Stoicism and focusing on living according to my own values, I found true peace. I realized that my worth is not determined by how others see me, but by how I live and act. Since then, I've felt much more at peace with myself, knowing that I can control my actions and integrity, regardless of external validation. Now, think about your own life. What is one area where you've been seeking external validation or approval? How can you shift your focus to living in alignment with your values and finding fulfillment in your actions, rather than in others' perceptions? Reflect on how releasing this need for approval can bring you peace and freedom. In today's world, image and reputation have become major sources of stress. Whether we're seeking approval from our peers, colleagues, or even on social media, many of us tie our sense of worth to how others perceive us. But Stoicism offers a refreshing alternative. Instead of focusing on what others think of us, we can choose to focus on living in accordance with our own values. By letting go of the need for external validation, we can find true peace and freedom. Epictetus reminds us in his teaching, I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live. This quote speaks directly to the Stoic belief that our sense of self-worth should come from within, and not from others' approval. By focusing on our actions and living in alignment with our values, we can stop worrying about how we are seen by others and instead find contentment in being true to ourselves. The idea of internal validation is central to Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, taught that we can't control what others think of us, but we can control how we respond to the world around us. He emphasized that true freedom and peace come from accepting what we can't control and focusing on living a virtuous life based on our own principles. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote extensively about the importance of living according to one's values, regardless of external recognition. In his meditations, he often reminded himself that our worth is not determined by how others see us, but by how we live and act in alignment with virtue and wisdom. The Stoics believed that real happiness comes from within, and our sense of self-worth should not depend on others' opinions. At its core, Stoicism teaches that our self-worth is not dependent on external validation, but on how we live and act according to our values. The need to control how others see us often leads to anxiety and stress. When we rely on external approval, We make ourselves vulnerable to the opinions of others, which can constantly change and leave us feeling insecure. Epictetus' quote reminds us that the only thing we truly have control over is our actions and how we live, instead of focusing on how others perceive us. Stoicism encourages us to focus on living a life of virtue, integrity, and wisdom. Knowing that true peace and contentment come from within, let's consider a real-life example. You've worked hard on a project at work, but when the results come in, you don't receive the recognition you were hoping for. It's natural to feel unappreciated or upset, especially when we've put in so much effort. However, instead of focusing on how others see you, Stoicism teaches us to ask ourselves, did I do my best? Am I proud of the work I did, regardless of whether others acknowledge it? By focusing on living according to our own standards and values, we shift our attention away from external validation and instead find fulfillment in the fact that we gave our best effort. The Stoic path is about finding contentment in our actions rather than waiting for others to confirm our worth. Focusing on internal validation has a profound impact on mental health. When we stop seeking approval from others, we free ourselves from the cycle of anxiety and self-doubt that comes with always trying to meet external expectations instead. We cultivate self-confidence and emotional resilience because our sense of worth is rooted in who we truly are, not in how others see us. In addition, this shift toward internal validation leads to greater emotional freedom. We stop feeling controlled by the opinions of others and start to live more authentically, which is key to emotional well-being. Stoicism helps us let go of the pressure to perform for others and instead focus on being the best version of ourselves, which brings true peace. By embracing the Stoic principle of living according to our values and releasing the need for external validation, we can find true peace and inner fulfillment. Our worth doesn't come from others' opinions, but from how we choose to live each day with integrity and purpose. Today, we explore the Stoic principle of releasing the need to control how others see you and focusing on internal validation instead. Epictetus' quote, "I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live," serves as a reminder that our worth is not determined by others' perceptions, but by how we live with integrity and virtue. Stoicism teaches us to let go of the anxiety that comes with seeking approval and instead find peace in living according to our values. So, how can you apply this Stoic principle today? The next time you feel frustrated by a lack of recognition or approval, pause and ask yourself, am I living according to my own values? Am I proud of the effort I put in, regardless of what others think? Shift your focus from seeking approval to focusing on the satisfaction that comes from living authentically and true to yourself. This shift will help you release anxiety and find peace in who you are, not in how others perceive you. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life are you still seeking external validation? How can you shift your focus toward living according to your own values and finding contentment in your actions, rather than waiting for others to acknowledge your worth? Think about the next situation where you might feel overlooked and practice embracing your worth from within. If this video resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Stoic wisdom. Share in the comments how you've been able to release the need for others' approval and start living with more self-validation. What Stoic principles have helped you embrace your worth from within? To leave you with a final thought, remember the words of Epictetus, "I cannot control how others see me, but I can control how I live." True peace comes from living authentically and focusing on what we can control: our actions, our values, and our integrity. When we release the need for external validation, we find inner freedom and contentment. Stay true to yourself, live with purpose, and your peace will come from within.